Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to the special report, your news and views program about geek gaming culture on said internet. Coming up in the show today, Google announces the Stadia, a system that provides streaming onto any device. You don't even need a console per se. We're going to be talking about that and the OC remix track of the day. My name is JD Shadow. The special report starts right now. At the Game Developer Conference, Google announced that it is heading into the console market. They are going to try to compete with the PlayStation and the Xbox, and for that matter, Nintendo. However, they're going to do it a bit differently. They had announced that they're not going to have any actual box on their upcoming console, which is titled Stadia, a proper plural noun of stadium. The service release window is slated to be only 2019 right at the moment. There is no set actual date for this console. However, it will run, according to our Techna, a selection of existing PC games on Google's centralized service. The company revealed a new Google-produced controller, as you can see on the screen right now, along with a game streaming service interface that revolves around a quote-unquote Play Now button. It'll support any kind of web browser and anything that supports Chromecast, which means any TV, any tablet, and any PC. And the people who have made this are not playing around with this. According to their official site, Google is claiming that you can play across multiple devices, including laptops, desktops, and select phones and tablets. They also are touting up to 4K HDR at 60 frames per second, something that a lot of consoles right now are struggling to meet as far as that is concerned. They also are touting a integration with YouTube and saying that you can go from watching a video to playing the game in seconds, with even more innovative experiences to come for select games. That is very interesting, and we'll get to that in just a second as to why I think that is highly interesting. They also say that you can play a game instantly. You don't have to get any updates, no downloads, and you can just go ahead and play instantly, basically a cloud gaming service. And saying that their infrastructure evolves to meet the demands of players, developers, and YouTube creators. Again, that YouTube creator part, it's going to be quite interesting. They're also not playing around with the type of games that this will be playing. Google's Phil Harrison, who, if I remember correctly, was the former head of Microsoft, had said with Stadia, this waiting game will be a thing of the past. He then demonstrated its gameplay on Pixel 3 XL, followed by the least powerful PC we could find, he said. He went on to say that the game was advertised as 1080p, 60 frames per second, and that existing USB controllers and mouse and keyboard will function with Stadia games as well, although if you want the capture button, you will have to use their official controller. This will also work with the Google Assistant. One could think Google Home will be integrated as well, that if you are stuck in any sort of way of mid-game, you can ask it for some help with the game, sort of like a built-in local strategy guide. Stadia, according to Phil Harrison, is said to have a network infrastructure of 7.5K edge nodes closer to players to provide better performance. Going on to say that it will be powered by AMD hardware with 10.7 teraflops of power in each instance. They'll ask me what a teraflop is. That at launch, it went on to say, saying it will support 4K 60 frames per second, as we've said. And like I said about the games that are being a part of this, one report has said that Assassin's Creed Odyssey was being played at the CES, and that Unreal and Unity were announced as supporters of the Stadia system, and Vulkan is also joining the party as confirmed by id Software. It would need a few weeks to port its current unfinished code for the game due to Eternal, and it did not confirm, that is, of whether the game will appear on Stadia day and date with existing consoles and PCs. The CES presentation went on to tout some of its more intricate features, including how the cloud system would work and that the game's effects and features could vary should the game be rendered on the multiple GPUs within its cloud system. And furthermore, they are expressing interest and support for cross-platform play, and it will not be vulnerable to cheating or hacking due to multiplayer instances that aren't exposed to the public internet. Gotta see how that plays out. They also did show off the ability to access intense physics systems and placing thousands of cameras in various places, according to Ars Technica, in a game's world, and reskin games with a huge variety of machine-generated images. One example they said included a modern 3D Tequila worlds, video game smothered in seamlessly endless whirl of Pac-Man images. They will also be able to do a sort of save state like an emulator or Nintendo Switch Online has doing with their NES Classics library, in which a player will be able to instantly share a playable moment from a game. They had also announced that former Assassin's Creed designer Jade Redman, who had left Ubisoft earlier on, is now the head of Stadia Games and Entertainment. This went on with a confirmation that Stadia would actually get exclusive games from its first-party game studio. It doesn't seem as though it has any sort of name just yet, but they had said, quote, "Our team will also be working with external developers to make all of the bleeding-edge Google technology you've seen here today available to partner studios big and small, leaving the door open for third-party developers to make exclusives for this particular product." And their presentation showed off the multi-GPU capabilities, which actually do look kind of awesome. The whole idea that they could render water in that way is a big thing for me, because I do consider water physics to be one of the things that you do need to get right, and it's one of the harder things to get right in the game. They also touted the YouTube integration and the way that you can jump in and have a game with your favorite YouTube creator as they are streaming the game with the crowd play feature. That to me is one of the biggest things about this whole console right at the moment when it comes to online capabilities, because Google Stadia and YouTube integration is going to have one major difficulty, which is Twitch. And yeah, that's where we get into the whole opinion piece about this whole thing. This looks really great. This looks awesome, and I would love to know more about this. And quite frankly, they had put a lot of stuff on the table right then and there. They didn't leave too much stuff out. Granted, the only thing I could see out of the YouTube search engine was the Engadget stream of it, which they cut out a lot of it, and saying that it's within 14 minutes we got every single little detail that we could possibly get. And yeah, I will talk about the capabilities and the whole idea of streaming in just a second, but that YouTube integration is going to be a big thing, because again, the whole idea that is going to put Google and YouTube into a very interesting spot where they can actually push their YouTube gaming platform, which is probably what they're thinking about when they launched this in the first place. And never mind the whole notion about their capabilities on the hardware front, and we'll get there in just a second, but if they decide that they're going to lock you out of being able to stream to Twitch with this thing, it's going to create a bit of a problem because of, yeah, you know, monopolization and all of that. And we're already getting that whole thing that Elizabeth Warren, one of the Democratic candidates, are trying to push for the breakup of these big tech companies. Google being one of them, and let's just say this is not going to make a very big friend out of her. Because, yeah, if they decide, hey, you can only stream through YouTube gaming when a majority of the gamer base is streaming on Twitch, they're not going to really move over just so they can play on this platform, because we have no idea about what the pricing of the games are going to be. We have no idea how the pricing of the console or whatever they're going to use to say, hey, this is going to be the entry point to get into the game is going to be. They did not specify anything about a subscription fee. They did not tout that at all just yet. So what is going to be the point of entry? And if that is going to be a big tipping point for a lot of people, and then you're gonna lock them out of a potential big time competitor to their YouTube platform, guess what's going to happen to the Stadia thing? It's not going to be going too well with the people who stream games. They're going to stay on Twitch. They're going to stay on their platforms which they do know about, that they understand, and yeah, that's going to go bad for Google. Keep in mind as well about the pricing. As we said, right in the moment, we don't know much about what the point of entry is going to be. Is it going to be the buying of the controller? Is it going to be subscription based? Our Stadia article did not go into that, and skimming through the Engadget video, I did not see anything that had to do with the pricing at this point. There was a lot of great things that came out of this. The multi-GPU thing and the presentation did look quite well. I'm not sure if that's actual gameplay or just a pre-rendered video that they made, but it did look good. It did look impressive. It remains to be seen what is going to happen in a real world environment though. Keep in mind that internet capabilities and internet connections are a finicky thing. You don't know what one person will have over top of another. Now, Google did state that because they have everything on their own backbone and everything's coming through their end, that they don't have to worry about latency or anything like that. But there's one thing you have to worry about, which is the end user's internet connection. DSL, cable, stuff like that. If they're on fiber, how the internet on their end is going to receive that information. Is it going to be through a connection in which they're not going to be too happy with that particular type of bandwidth going through all the time into their homes and stuff like that? You don't know what the conditions are going to be on the end user's side. So that's still left to be seen, and unfortunately that is a big sticking point as well. Even though Google has stated that, hey, because they're on our end, you're not going to hear or see of any latency and there's going to be no updates whatsoever, who's to say that things couldn't still go wrong? Is there still going to be a chance of a DDoS attack? Is there still going to be a chance that people could in fact not be getting the game that they paid for? Again, we don't know what the pricing of each game is going to be, how they're going to go about getting a profit out of this, what exactly going to happen in order for people to be able to enter into these games, as opposed to whether or not they are able to get a physical copy for their PS4 or Xbox One. And that's another big aspect to this. Some people still like the physical aspect of it. Some people still like to have a physical copy of a game in their hands, because right now digital media is still something people don't really trust because of one very big aspect, which is DRM. How is that going to play into this? How is a cloud-based server, which Google is in full control over, is going to function in that sense? Is Google going to be the be-all end-all as to whether or not somebody has the right to play a game that they paid for? Say you go onto another person's console or another person's house and you start playing on there. Who's to say that Google can't say, hey, you're not allowed to play here or here, because we have all control, we have all the power to tell you whether or not you have the right to play at a particular point. Who's to say that they can't just do that because they control all of the servers? Who's to say also that the PS4, Sony, and Microsoft is going to say, wait a minute, we can't completely compete with this. We want you to give us a competing product. We want that console parity. And if Google is saying, hey, we have all this power, we can upgrade whenever we want, and then, by the way, we are trying to compete with consoles, that's not gonna be sitting too well with other console manufacturers who make actual boxes that you have to go out and buy. Granted, the PC marketplace is substantially higher in terms of power than a console, but remember about the pricing of each component. You're going to be paying about $1,000 to be able to do more than what a console is able to do at a $400 or $500 price range. Now imagine if Google gets into this. Now imagine if Google and Stadia gets popular and they start touting all of this power, and you see that there was a low, very low entry rate. Remember, you don't need to buy a box with this. This is all based upon their cloud. And if that is going to be the case in which you're going to see a low price point, a low entry point, especially if you don't even have to buy a controller for it, or it functions with current generation or current controllers or USB mouses and keyboards, imagine how Sony and Microsoft are going to respond if Google is considering this a actual console as opposed to maybe a PC master race system. Obviously, you're not going to see them react all that well. They're going to try to react in the only way they probably know how, which is to tell developers, hey, you need to give them the exact same quality of game you give to us, or else you're going to have problems down the road with dealing with us. And yes, developers will react to things like Sony or Microsoft saying that, provided they do that, because they're already proven. They already have an install base. They already have that. PS4 especially. They can reach a good bit of homes with their games. So it's not like they don't have that power to say, hey, we want console parity or else. Now, granted, that might be monetization as well, but I don't put it past anybody anymore to find a way to get away with stuff like that. They've been able to find loopholes around that for years. So it's no guarantee that just because Google says they're going to have all this power that they're going to be able to use that effectively, especially when you have a lot of competition that is going to not just let them do that without getting some competing edge on that. Not to mention the cloud-based servers, not to mention whether or not their servers go down at any point. What's going to happen at that point? Are they going to use 4G connections? Are they going to use those types of outlets in order to get your game out there? What's going to happen if, say, the internet does go out? What happens to a save? What happens if there is any problem whatsoever with their servers? Remember, it may be not necessarily our connections, but your servers. What happens if things go completely down? Is there a backup? There's a lot of questions around cloud-based gaming that we still have to figure out, and going in this direction is a bold move. Now, I'm not going to say that it is not a welcome move. Of course it is. However, I have a lot of questions, and I believe that the questions are big enough that it may be saying, hey, I may not want to delve into this right away. I want to know a little bit more about the pricing of each game, about whether or not I'm going to be able to trust your servers to go up or what have you. There's a lot of questions that I still want to get the answers to. But right now, they do talk a great game here. The 60 frames per second, again, that goes into whether or not the internet connections are going to play a role in all of that. The YouTube integration, I like, but again, Twitch is going to have probably a say in that, and it's going to make people a little bit squeamish as to whether or not they want to pick this up, provided that the more popular platform may get locked out because they're going to push YouTube gaming so hard with this. But I want to hear what you guys think. Please leave a comment down below. Do you agree with me about the difficulties I have with this? Whether or not it's going to be a factor? Are they factors for you? Is this something that you're looking forward to? Thank you very much for watching. Before I go, I want to give you the OC Remix track of the day. And since they were going on about Assassin's Creed, and they got a developer that was originally a member of Ubisoft and the Assassin's Creed family, let's go and do something Assassin's Creedy. And this one is called Izo's Family by Chris Amaterasu, Claire Yaxley, and DJ Mystics. I'm pretty sure I messed those names up, so please forgive me. It's a mix of the original Assassin's Creed theme, the end title of Metal Gear Solid of all things, and Izo's Family, the namesake track from this. This is called Izo's Family from Assassin's Creed 2, and I hope you enjoy it. My name is JD Shadow, and that just happened.